safe to be lurking around. Don't be lurking around at night going nefarious deeds. Will not end.
Like wild powers, real nefarious. Okay.
That sounds kind of.
Welcome to the meeting, Timberville Town Council, September 8th, 2022. And join the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Okay, we got normal stuff. We have approval of the minutes. Everyone got those in their package. We got a chance to review. Are there any questions, comments, changes, amendments, any of that kind of stuff? If not, I need a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Debbie. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. And we'll go around the room.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you all very much. Okay, we have treasurer's report. Everybody has Melinda's report showing the account balances and so forth. Any questions for Melinda? Okay, we'll keep on moving. Bills for payment. Any questions on any line items for the bills? Be a quick meeting today. See that now. Oh, I haven't got yours? Okay, good.
Yeah.
I need a motion to approve that.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Clarence. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Go around the room. Ned?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you all. Chief, you're up already.
That was quick. Well, let's see. Had the Police Academy puts on a leadership executive retreat every year. That was down at the homestead. That's paid for by the dues that we pay every year for having officers at the academy. So it's no additional cost to us. It's a good time to go collaborate. There's probably 40 to 50 chief executive officers, chiefs, deputy chiefs, sheriffs, that kind of thing. Catch up on what's going on and legal changes, cultural changes, and leadership theory, that kind of thing. It's a lot of networking, people discussing what's going on in their community, and you have a problem with this, how are you guys overcoming that in your agency? So it's good networking kind of thing. I sent an email out, some information. I believe it included the new vehicle. Obviously, we had a vehicle that was totaled the other week. That officer was relatively unscathed and was back to work on his next available rotation. So he was very fortunate. We were all very fortunate he was okay. So as soon as make sure the officer's okay and then investigate the incident, you move on to replacing the equipment. So I was able to order a vehicle and find one in stock through some miracle. Order it, it'll be delivered on Monday. Is that correct? And the equipment that was originally allocated for the vehicle that will be delivered in October is already here. So we should have a new vehicle up and running here in 7 to 10 days, I hope, to replace that. We basically have 4 officers shared 2 vehicles right now. So it's not the end of the world, and they'll be happy doing it in the short term, but it's a little bit of an issue with them trading equipment out, patrol rifles and armor, stuff like that. So we'll get that fixed pretty quickly. That was just a lucky break for us. Unlucky for the crash, but lucky to find a replacement vehicle. And the Charger, of course, expired on us with a cracked head or whatever a while back, so we're down with that one. I did salvage, went down to the impound lot, salvaged as much equipment out of the vehicles as I could. A little bit of emergency lights. A lot of that stuff is dependent on the model year, so the prisoner protection in a 2016 doesn't work in a 2022. So in cameras, storage boxes, weapon locks, all that stuff, salvaged all that out, and it's sitting in my truck at home. I'll take it down to Mount Crawford for install. So we're able to save a little bit of money with that by doing that. That's it with the vehicles, and the K9 is up and running. Police committee got to see the dog briefly, and in the email we'll talk about if anybody has any specific questions, feel free to let me know. But the dog has been deployed, is being low-key successful at this point, and officers still covering the shift. So far so good. If if we have any issues with scheduling, that kind of thing, iron out as we go, but so far so good.
And you've had some donations towards the program this month.
Yes, sir. It's right under 8,000. Do you have that digit, or is that coming from?
Almost 8.
Yeah. So,
And I understand you and the front staff are working out how to send a thank you to the people who have donated and the businesses that donated.
So we're at $7,951.50. We're not sure if we have any more coming, but we are working on a couple different things to make sure that they're acknowledged, make sure that people donated, one public acknowledgement, and then we'll do public acknowledgement as well as direct private. And I spoke to almost all of them personally, and they're all doing it because they care about the community. You can tell by the way they talk about it. So they appreciate what the town and the police department does, and they want to support the community. So it's good to see that grassroots, kind of a little bit of cliche, but it is truly grassroots are coming out to support the community and the police department. So we appreciate that.
Awesome. Any more questions for Chief? Okay, I see you're up. You said you had the big list.
Fairly big list. Yeah. The snow removal contract has been submitted to VDOT. This is a process the town must go through each year to be able to act as a subcontractor for plowing our streets. Each year, VDOT changes it a little bit, so it's all online. We have to go through, get our insurance certificates. VDOT has come up with a new process where they do a max cap of what is allowed for each vehicle, and then what will be paid out at the end of the year. So that's a little bit of a new change, which works good for us. VDOT also asked the town about taking on more responsibility about plowing some of the streets outside of the town limits. Chris and I talked about that and didn't feel that with our small crew, they're already pushed when it comes to plowing snow, they're already taxed enough, and we just didn't feel that it was responsible at this point to take on out-of-town streets. It means some more money for the town, but I just don't think it's worth it right now with a small crew. The town's water sources, and as you all know, the town's water sources and distribution system are under the regulation of the Virginia Department of Health. And DEH requires the town to conduct testing at different intervals depending on what the tests are for. So typically every 2 years we would submit waivers for certain tests so that we don't have to monitor them as frequently. The SOCs, which are synthetic organic chemicals, and cyanide are the regularly occurring waivers that we submit. And so I submitted those I think it was this week, and we'll hear back whether they accept them or not. This year's to be for a 3-year cycle, so we wouldn't have to test for those again until 2025, which they're kind of pushing that out. Multiple things go into it, but one thing I want to stress is that they are highly scrutinized. The waivers are highly scrutinized, and considerable attention is given to the consideration of those waivers. And so the safety is never sacrificed in this, for whether it be for money savings or because of time constraints or staff shortages. The safety of the water supply is always the highest priority through the town and DEH. What they do is they look at the history of our tests, and if the tests always come back with similar results, then they say, well, these tests you can apply for waivers for because you've never had issues with them. And if you have issues with them, which we had 1 years ago, and we didn't get the waiver for that source and for that test for that 2-year period. But then we established a history of good tests, and so we got the waivers again. So just wanted to make everybody aware of that and let you know that the safety of the drinking water is the utmost priority. VDH also conducted their annual inspection of the town's facilities, and although we don't have the written report on it yet, they did receive, our team did receive verbal notification of passing the inspection. There were some really minor things that they picked up on. For example, at some of the overflows of some of the sources, the screen size was a little bit too big, so they wanted smaller screens put on the outflow pipes, just so things can't fall back up in. easy enough fixes. The crews, our team's already taken care of that and addressed any of the concerns that VDH had, but nothing of any major significance whatsoever. VDH always, and I may have told y'all this before, but VDH, when they come in and do their inspection annually, they've commented to me on multiple occasions how pristine all of our facilities are because of the attention that our crews give to each of those places, and especially our pump stations for the sewer. You kind of think of sewer, you think nasty, gross, messy, and they say that it's amazing that some of our sewer pump stations are in better condition than other localities' water facilities. So our guys pride themselves really highly on maintenance of that, and that's why in the maintenance report that Chris sent out, you saw that the pumps were replaced at the East Riverside Pump Station, and those pumps were really decades and decades and decades old, and that's the reason because the crews have always paid really close attention to detail on those items. So, take care of something and it'll last longer. We are continuing to work on the internet upgrades for the SCADA and camera systems, and we currently have about 90% of the cameras remotely accessible, and we are continuing to iron out any issues with SCADA connection continuity. Just an ongoing process, but ironing out the bugs. Pulled some, nothing that really affects the town as far as incidents where it was town property that was damaged, but we have pulled off some rather interesting video of vehicle accidents, several vehicle accidents, pursuits, police pursuits. The mayor called me today and said he had a concern.
A truck complained on Memorial, so he looked up what truck it was, which it was just one.
Out of town delivery.
Follow GPS like we know happens. And
So it's come in useful. It hasn't paid back yet as far as town damage. Luckily, we haven't had anything for it.
hopefully we never will.
Right. Kind of like an insurance policy.
Yeah.
But it is nice that people know that we do have that, and we are getting more and more locations online where we can, our officers can view them remotely. So used to have issues, a lot of issues in the park, and it was really difficult for the officers to get into the park without any ne'er-do-wells seeing them coming in. Now they can just view it remotely from outside of the park and see if there's some issue going on. So it's been really nice so far.
Now, who can, I know you can see it, I'm sure.
All town staff.
All town staff? Okay, good.
That's
So all police
one of the
officers-
things we're working on too, is getting all town staff being able to view it. There's nothing
Right.
private about any of it. As, we can't put it out there for public viewing, but all town staff should have access to it in case somebody's out and they need to pull video or need help with it. More eyes looking at stuff, the better it's days. Chris forwarded an email to me the other day informing the town that our chemical supplier will be increasing the price on certain chemicals the town uses in the water treatment process. If you all recall, several months ago, our chlorine went up drastically because there's a shortage on the supply chain. Chlorine's going up again a little bit, but not as much this time as it did last time. Fluoride's really going to increase. I think fluoride is going to double. So what we'll do is we'll continue to work with the health department to get grants to cover the fluoride costs. And they're usually pretty good about that. Just a matter of getting the paperwork in time while they still have the money available. On Tuesday, August 30th, I visited with the Broadway Rotary Organization and provided them with a brief update on the state of the town. Spoke about the plans for the park system, residential development, the police department, the winter festival, businesses, use of ARPA funds, and the Shenandoah Rail Trail. And while I was there, the Rotary president offered the organization's assistance whenever the town is in need of volunteers. So I've already got, kind of like the Rotans did recently.
Okay.
So the Rotaries offered the same thing, and I've got Cecilia hooked up with their leadership so that she can reach out and contact them if we need assistance, volunteer assistance.
It worked out real well for last event.
It did work out well for them. And we have been working on the plan for this year's Winter Festival at the American Legion Park. Over the past several years, the council, and I sent this email out really late today, I apologize for that. But over the past several years, the council has waived the business license fee for the vendors/crafters who come into that event. And so I'd like to ask the council to consider doing that again as we started the planning process, and as we make contact with the vendors, crafters, we can say, yay, we'd like to be able to say that, yes, that business license application fee or fee will be waived for this event. And it's going to be
What's that, the third, and
It's
it's
the third and fourth.
third and fourth, and it's going to be from
12 to 6 and 1 to 5, is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Is that right? 12 to 6. and
12 to 6
1
on
to 5.
Saturday and 1 to
And
5
right
on
after
Sunday.
church on Sunday.
Right.
And apparently, last year it got to be about 7 o'clock, and it just wound down very quickly, so they're stopping at 6 o'clock.
Which day is the tree lighting? Third?
That's
Yes.
Saturday.
Yeah.
Saturday, the third then, will be the tree lighting.
And they're working on what, there's going to be a fee to use it, but they're working on what that's going to be right now for each vendor. So there'll be some reimbursement to the town for the electricity and that kind of thing. But
Well, what was the update with Showalters?
update with them?
Yes,
Oh, they just came in and talked about, they're planning on having their festival there also.
the same weekend.
And they wanted to work with the town and their advertisement, so we could advertise together. So basically, we all met, talked, and then we basically said Cecilia and, I don't remember the young lady that was the other part, their marketing manager are gonna work together to joint advertise what's gonna happen. And
Their event will be multiple weekends.
Yes.
And ours, we went from 1 day to 2 days, and if we can get more, we're getting the Rotans and the Rotary involved now, so the more volunteers, because it does take a lot of, it takes a lot of effort to put on a multi-weekend event. So we felt that the cross promotion of the events would be, we draw from different markets. Showalters has a much larger national market that they, customers, people who come in for that event. And a lot of our attendees are local area customers. So if we can say, go there, and they can say, go there, then it just helps everybody out.
And they're looking, and they're gonna be the ones brainstorming, but they're looking at how can they do one, on that one weekend we're doing it, how can they, and bring all the businesses in town in on this, knowing that there's gonna be people coming in, and what they can do to drive business into all the different businesses, like, I don't know, Christmas sales or whatever kind of thing businesses do, but that, we're leaving it to Cecilia and their marketing manager to figure out, they're the experts, not me, about figuring out how to do that. But I'm very excited, and very, very easy, so that's where we're at right now.
And it'll be here before we know it.
Of course, yeah, it's gonna be a lot quicker than we know it. What else you got?
I think that's it for the list.
Does council need to vote
Um,
on waiving the fees?
For the fee, yeah.
Yes.
I make a motion that we waive the fees for the Christmas ceremony.
Do I have a second?
A second.
Any further discussion? We'll go around the room. Ed?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Awesome, thank you. And the other thing we didn't have on, I guess it's on here, the police department's coming along pretty good right now. We're to the point where we need to get a painter, we need to get a flooring person, and we need to get a drop ceiling. After that, we're pretty well.
We have a flooring person.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just a matter
Yeah.
of getting the.
Yeah, when I say getting their spot to do it.
Yeah.
We're waiting on a drop ceiling person to get back with us, and it's actually been very well budget-wise, and we've decided we're just gonna hopefully hire someone to just do the painting instead of trying to piecemeal it, do everything. We're hoping, I know, remember we had original budget of like 56,000, then we had a budget, price of 200,000, price 100,000. It looks like we'll come closer to 56,000 than anything else, so we might be able to do it without using much of that money we moved over, but it's still a little bit early, but everything's coming in a little bit under budget, which is always good.
And we already get, I'm sure you guys get positive comments about the changing the appearance on the outside.
Oh, yeah.
The concrete took the shrubs out, which were just kind of dated, a better project before was taken out. And the sign that our friends donated looks good, it looks better with the color scheme. So we're already getting comments about that. The inside's going to be a lot more serviceable, more usable space and everything. You see all that even at this stage.
And we tore out the wall between the two, so if you're going through there, I'm sure the chief opened up and will show you how much bigger it looks.
Yeah.
So that's the update on that. And that's all we have on, anyone else have any other words or questions? Business and industry, you had a couple updates on business and industry. The Walgreens thing, is that official now, the replacement that's going in there?
And I've received the sign, the paperwork for the sign, and so it is,
So there's
looks like it's going to be a pop shelf, which is owned by Dollar General. The easiest way for me to explain it is say go online and look at what products they offer, because I don't have a really good way to describe it. It's kind of home
It was
decoration.
a Hobby Lobby looking slash, yes, it's, it looks pretty neat. I've never been to one, but.
Well, the way I understand it, this will be the second one in the state of Virginia. The other one's in Newport News.
I see Newport News, Timberville. Yeah.
Very comfortable.
Okay, cover that in here. Wow, how do you do that? Okay, I'm happy with that.
And we've had interest on some of the vacant properties around, different parties calling about the warehouse properties and talking to the owner about what he's going to do with those. And so they've received several phone calls about those. So it'd be nice to get something moving with that property too.
Agreed. Parks and Rec. As far as Parks and Rec, I guess the only thing we've been doing on Parks and Rec is Chris, myself, met with the electrician because as our park grows and we add a bathroom, which we're looking at doing, and adding the stage and adding all that stuff, the electric goes up, and when we talk about 400 amp service, we basically already outrun our 400 amp service of what we have. So he's given us an estimate about what it's going to take to get the electric for all the stuff we're doing. So we met with him the other day. And in that, he's going to also look at adding the electricity for food trucks and things. So when we have an event, a food truck can come in. Chris has already run the water for it. He's already run some sewer. And you have a food truck pull up, plug in, have vendors, and then they leave for the weekend kind of deal. So he's looking at that right now. So we'll have an update on that down the road.
And I'm going to try to get back on the bathroom project. Didn't get much done on that one. Since we had the meeting with the,
It's been busy. It's
Parks
been
Committee.
vacation and all the stuff going on. Okay. It's off Parks and Rec. Anyone else? Now we're down to finance, personal property tax relief. AC sends everybody a note, basically to stay break even. We either need to vote on 28%, which we absorb $222, or 27%, where we gain $269. So I think the thing is, do you want 28% or 27% property tax relief? And every year we get more citizens, it's going to go down and down and down because it's a set amount of money that gets spread and amount, an ever-growing population. So the more bigger we get, the less tax relief you have because it's a set amount of money.
And the value of the vehicles go
The
up.
value of the vehicles go up and all that other stuff, yes.
Make a motion, we go with 28%.
We have a motion of 28%, do I have a second?
No, second.
Okay, any further discussion? Go around the room.
Yes.
No. Yes. No.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, 4 yeses, we're good. Okay, thank you all. Personnel, anything? Chief, good?
No, sir.
Okay. Museum report, do you have anything for us today?
For the month of August, we had 124 visitors, 99 volunteer hours, and presently we have a display, Elwood Colors, y'all know Elwood. He was a master stonemason, a sharpshooter, and a gunsmith. And this Sunday, Phil Bigler, he has written numerous books. He is going to speak on James Madison and the Constitution. And then next Saturday, the 17th, from 10 to 2, is Heritage Days. And we're having food and we're having authors there. And your dad is giving a virtual tour of Timberville. It's very nice.
Awesome. 20 minutes back at that, my sister's getting married that day.
Are you kidding me?
So he's going to do that and then run the wedding, apparently.
What time is she getting married?
Hopefully not at the same time.
It's not at the same time.
That'll be part of the virtual tour.
From the wedding.
I want to step in here for a second.
I think it's 4 o'clock, I believe.
I'll have his clothes ready and dressing and sending on.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. And speaking, everyone got a copy of the proclamation that was sent out that we're asked to adopt. It just takes my signature, but speaking of Constitution, I don't know why you wouldn't sign a proclamation that says, on behalf of the residents, it's Constitution, we can urge all citizens to study Constitution, reflect on privileges being an American with all the rights and responsibilities which that privilege involves. So if anyone doesn't have any,
How many people have ever read the Constitution?
I know I've, in school I did it. And I think I'm sworn to the Constitution quite often.
Unfortunately, it's unfortunate that you have to ask that question.
I know, but you know, you ask people, well,
There's probably a lot of, I know we laugh, there's probably a lot of people who have not read the Constitution
right.
and truly understand the Constitution. So I'll go ahead and sign this.
Yes.
Any other business? And no public comment, unless the press wants to make some comment tonight. No comment? That's good, you don't get to say that.
You get to say no comment?
Okay, thank you, everybody. Meeting adjourned.